We finally have a Nintendo Direct scheduled. It's the LP Podcast. Hello and happy Tuesday. It's the day of the week where I do more talking than playing of Nintendo games, but Nintendo is the topic all the same. And today, as mentioned mere moments ago, we're going to be talking about tomorrow's upcoming Nintendo Partner Showcase. But first, we're actually going to take a quick sidetrack and address some rumors that we've spoken of over the course of the last couple of months. Spoiler alert, the rumors were wrong. Looks like the Nintendo Switch's successor is not coming later this year. Apparently 2025 is the year that we should look forward to. But again, hey, this is a rumor too, right? Who's to say whether or not this will be correct? It would seem that speculation continues to run rampant. And for good reason, right? I mean, we're all very excited for whatever may come next. We all loved the Nintendo Switch, and any building off of that should be a good thing. Ideally, I know we talked about how the Wii U didn't necessarily build upon the Wii in terms of sales numbers, but that's not always what's important to us as fans. What's important is that we enjoy it, and by golly, I'll be darned if I don't expect to enjoy the next Nintendo console. But unfortunately, it looks like, according to Matt Smith here, or whatever sources he has, that's not coming until 2025. Let's dig into the article ever so slightly and see what he has to say about it. So apparently, if this does happen, it would mimic the release of the original Switch, which was announced in October and came out in March. So what he's getting at here is that we may hear of it. We may get an announcement of this next console later this year. And to be honest with you, I think that may be, that may be enough, at least for me. That would give me some sort of, I don't know, something to ponder, something to think about, something maybe not tangible since it would just be an idea, but sort of tangible. You know what I'm saying? It would be real at that point. Instead of working off the backs of endless rumors, we would actually have something from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So I think that would be all right. And again, in the bottom here, it mentions a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, focusing on new third-party games. And let's jump over to that announcement as well. It's a partner showcase, and it will be, it's just in a few hours at this point, since this is coming out at 8 p.m. Eastern. That'll be starting live at 9 a.m. Eastern. Obviously, not everyone watches this podcast right when it comes out, but if you do, I will be live streaming this, doing a similar, it'll probably be the exact same setup as this. And we will react live to whatever it is. I don't necessarily know what to expect from this. Originally, I was really hoping for a standard Nintendo Direct with some first-party stuff. Obviously, the partner showcase is going to deviate from that, and it's going to be software predominantly or 100% from third-party publishers. So we'll see. Something that I have considered that would make some semblance of sense given the news as of late are some of the Xbox titles, right? We think Sea of Thieves perhaps could be focused on here. But ultimately, whatever the case may be, it's going to be 25 minutes of 2024, the first half of 2024 Switch games. So we still don't have a whole lot of information on what the rest of 2024 is going to look like. We have a ton of stuff, I feel like, for the first half. Maybe a ton is sort of embellishing it, but right, Princess Peach Showtime comes out. Mario vs. Donkey Kong just came out. We don't yet have a release date for the Thousand Year Door, which is a little bit odd to me. Here we are almost 2 full months into the year, and that game simply has a 2024 release date. Wouldn't that be sad if that ended up getting pushed? I can't imagine it will, but goodness gracious, I've been wrong before. I have been wrong before. Oh, but you know what's right? It looks like Pokemon Concierge is doing all right for Netflix and getting some more episodes. I haven't watched any of this, but by golly, it looks adorable. And the art here, even more so. So if you're a fan of the series, take solace in that. Onward and outward to the next. Currently, Nintendo is Japan's richest company. How about that? If there's one thing Nintendo fans know, it's that company always is doomed. No matter what's going on with Nintendo, someone out there is predicting their demise. Things have been that way ever since the late SNES days, with this statement becoming an undying meme for Nintendo fans the world over. So, That is sort of a trope, right? And I think it's mostly fed into by people who subscribe to the whole console wars thing. It's not something that I've ever concerned myself with because why? It don't matter. You play what you want to play. Ultimately, the people that are fans of Nintendo are something of a, I don't want to say different breed than people who are predominantly fans of other IPs, but they definitely subscribe to different styles of entertainment, right? I find that a lot of people that don't like Nintendo and are instead big, perhaps PC gamers or, Sony diehards or Xbox fanboys or what have you, the things that are important to them are not necessarily the things that are important to people who consider themselves to be Nintendo fans. And there's a lot of people that are fans of both, and I think that's great too. Ultimately, you can be a fan of whatever you like, but this whole thing predicting the demise, I think, has been fed into, like I said, by the people who consider themselves to be anything but a Nintendo fan. And almost trying to wish it into existence, which doesn't make sense to me, of course, but whatever. Look at this. Doesn't matter anyways. Japan's richest company, which is incredible. So Nintendo has over $11 billion in cash, a number that has been boosted quite significantly in recent years due to the Switch's long-running success and, of course, the Mario movie's box office domination. And I'm sure no small amount is also fed into by the success of the theme parks that are not mentioned here but are existing in Hollywood as well as Japan, with 2 more, I think, opening up in Orlando and another one out in Asia. I want to say Taiwan. I do not remember. Maybe Singapore, actually. Either which way, Nintendo has diversified, and we've talked about that in podcast episodes of the past. Their continued diversification is only going to continue to put them in a great financial situation. And we, of course, stand to benefit from that because the more money Nintendo has to work with, the more people they can hire, the more talent they can retain, the more IPs they can crank out. And I think that's cool. So, there are indeed other Japanese companies that are richer, but when you account for things like debt, cash equivalent aspects, it puts Nintendo out on top. So apparently they're not too far in debt, if at all, which is crazy. And as the article puts it here, practically unheard of in the entertainment sector, even more rare in the video game industry specifically. Nintendo obviously has had hits and misses over the years, but they've more than proven their business savvy in keeping the ship afloat, no matter what lies ahead. Thank you to Stealth 40K. Yes, indeed. Nintendo continues to innovate, right? We've talked kind of about the Sonys, the PC gaming, the Microsoft. Something that I've noticed, at least with a lot of those other gaming companies, is that they will find their thing, something that works, and they will just dig into it and try and refine it. And I think that's not necessarily a bad approach, but I've always been a fan of what Nintendo does in the fact that whenever they find something that does really well, they get rid of it. Not necessarily. They move past it. They let that be it, and they don't try to dig into that, right? You think of the success of the Nintendo 64. Nothing they've done since has been too similar to it, right? Nintendo is always innovating. Sure, I guess the move from N64 to GameCube may not be the best example here, but think of the move from the Wii to the Wii U. They're continually changing, even when it doesn't necessarily bear them the same financial fruit that they may have hoped for. And then, of course, we got the Nintendo Switch, and then everything else in between all of the consoles. Nintendo, with both their hardware and their software, is always looking to shake things up. And by and large, it's working out. It's working out. Thanks in no small part to people like you or I who are buying their crap, but, we're having a good time with it. And speaking of good times, Nintendo continues to have a good time in terms of awards. We spoke about this last podcast, the DICE Awards, I believe. I forget what specifically was referenced to. I don't think it was Koji Kondo. Either which way, Mario Wonder got Family Game of the Year at the DICE Awards, and Tears of the Kingdom received the Adventure Game of the Year award. So, 2 great games, 2 of Nintendo's heavy hitters, right? Legend of Zelda, Super Mario. When you have franchises like those and their most recent installments are doing well, both critically and financially, you're going to continue to be in good shape. I mean, I know that's a prevalent theme here, talking about the financial security and well-being of the company, but clearly they're doing things very well that are getting recognized not just by business publications, but also things like this, where it's just considered with the quality of the game itself. So hats off to you. I particularly enjoyed both of these games, and if you haven't played them, I encourage you to do so. Oh, speaking of good games, Smash Bros. Ultimate got another update. Holy cow. I mean, the updates will continue until morale improves. And this is not the only bit of news we have around Smash Ultimate, which is interesting enough. But in case you haven't, go update that game. Continuing on, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, we have Masahiro Sakurai has stated his work on the game is finally coming to an end with the release of the Sora amiibo. So he's mentioned this a time or two before, and I know he has a YouTube channel that he continues to work ever more diligently on. But I can't imagine this will be the last of the creator or last of the professional, we'll call him, and the company's relationship. Perhaps this is the last they work together on Smash Ultimate, but who's to say what the future comes to? What the future brings us to? What the future does? Who's to say what happens either which way? In the immediate future, or rather immediate past, Mario vs. Donkey Kong recently released. In fact, it came out last Friday, just a few days ago, and I played it, and it was a lot of fun. I had never played the Game Boy Advance one, which this is a remake of, so I perhaps don't have the same, I guess, context to compare it, right, or to draw a significant sort of reflection between the two. But Serena and I, my wife, we played co-op mode on stream last Friday, and it was great. I think that something Nintendo's always done well is producing couch co-op games, and this is no different. I don't know if there was a co-op mode in the Game Boy Advance. Maybe you did something with the link cable. But what it presented to us was a unique opportunity to just kind of have some mindless fun. You know what I'm saying? There is, I guess, something of a story. The game does start you off with like a 30-second cutscene that sort of sets the scene for, I don't know, Donkey Kong likes toys and the toys are not there, and then he wants the toys and the toys are in his bag and something like that. Either which way, the story is not necessarily important, which is a good thing in this instance. The game itself is just about overcoming these small little segmented puzzles that are very much contained in their own screen. Even some of the screens do scroll and whatnot, but on the whole, it's, you know, good mindless fun, and I enjoy it, and so did Serena. So we'll definitely be playing more of that. I think we logged in just under 90 minutes, and we'll probably do the same thing the next opportunity we have, because again, any opportunity we have to get some couch co-op games in, I think is a great opportunity. Oh, but there's only so many or so long you can spend on it. One qualm I've heard people have with this game is that it is quite short. And of course, I suppose that's not necessarily to be too terribly surprising, given what I've learned from it thus far. You know, we talked about the small contained levels, and you can see a snapshot of one here. With those being the stepping stones in your adventure, I guess it's not necessarily a huge shock that it's a short game. But that's fine, because sometimes you want a short game, right? You don't always want these long, epic adventures that are Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild. Sometimes you want to just a bite-size, a little video game snack. You know what I'm saying? Don't eat your games. I hope that didn't go over your head. Don't eat them. They don't taste very good. Anyways, speaking of things that come to an end, we have the ending of Repair for 2DSs, 3DSs, and 3DS Double L's. Originally, this article was in Japanese, and I have since translated it, so there may be some things lost there, but I think the general topic remains. So, these products are now going out of repairs. Does it give us a time? Does it give us a date? Does it give us a date, or is it just effective immediately? It says notice of scheduled end. Notice of scheduled end. It doesn't actually say. Fascinating. Well, that's not. That has to be something lost in translation. Interesting. Well, either which way, if you have one of these, you need it repaired, do it now. Do it now, and then do not ever need another repair. All right. If you need another repair, well, you'll probably have better luck going third party at that point. So, best of luck to you. Anyways, that has been it. Another short, sweet, succinct snapshot in the week that was Nintendo. And we've got more things on the horizon, especially with tomorrow's partner showcase. I'm very excited to see what it holds in store. We'll talk a lot about that, obviously, tomorrow, live when it happens, and then again on next week's podcast. So thank you so much for watching. I have been LP, your host. I play Nintendo games and I talk a lot. If you're into that, well, I'll see you here again next week.